Hello fellas, welcome back. I've came to Auto Bionics to see Steve. I've been following along with his build of his RSR 500 3-door Cosworth that he's putting a V6 twin turbo in out of a F-150 Raptor. On your Facebook page, Steve, you've been showing some wheels you've been designing.
That's right, yeah.
So this is an original 3-door Cosworth wheel, 15-inch.
Yeah. I think last time we spoke, we was talking about upscaling the wheels because I didn't like the size of the 15-inch wheels. So anyway, the proof's in the pudding. You know, that's.
So you've had some. These are 17-inch.
They're 17-inch wheels, yeah.
What width?
Made 7-inch.
7-inch. And what's that with?
They're 7-inch as well. So the same offset. They're 40.
Same offset as well.
40 ET. But basically, you see, the principle of it is just to make them bigger on diameter, but whilst also trying to keep them proportionally looking right.
So you've got the same kind of depth of your...
Yeah, so all the rim detail and the square edge detail, that's all there. Even the surface finish.
The diamond cut?
Well, I call it a gramophone finish.
Right.
So if you look at the original, I think these ones have been repaired though, at some point in the past. But the original wheels have got, you know, imagine an old gramophone record, for those who can remember them. They've got like a line so that it's the feed rate of the cutting tool that gives you that finish. So the company who eventually makes the wheels for us, I was very particular about what they call the CLA centerline average of the feed, which gives you that finish. Yeah. So they are, so that if you walk by the car, they are obviously an aftermarket wheel. They're very, very much OEM looking, but you can't tell why. They look different.
It's strange to look at when I came in, like I was thinking, oh, that looks different.
So that was the look I was going for. So same colour, obviously the same insert colour, surfaced finish, same spoke design, and the only bit that is different, and a lot of people don't notice it, but the centre caps, they don't have the lock-in because lockable centre caps, you know, they're always been a problem on these cars as well, but you can't find locks for them. You could remake the locks if you wanted, but if you look at an original one as well, the actual size of that nut, when you look at race cars, I can't remember the actual size of a race car nut, it's something like 100 and something mil, you know, for a centre lock. That's what it's trying to do, is to mimic a centre lock wheel. But on an original car, on an original wheel, that nut it's only 53 mil across flats. It looks small on a 15-inch wheel. So when I transferred the design onto the 17-inch, it looked totally lost if I kept that nut of that size.
That's 53 mil across the flat.
So what I did was I increased the size of the nut, and that's the only real difference. So
what size is this now?
Oh, I can't remember, to be honest with you. It's about 70 60, or something 70? Like that. It's by proportion, I can't remember exactly what it is. But by doing that, you just lost a bit of the detail on the inside there. So if you look at them side by side, you've still got, you know, that bit of detail there, then you've got the next bit, but you lose that ring, and that's purely because
because of the nut.
The nut's bigger. But that's the only real difference. But I guess if I hadn't told you, you probably wouldn't notice.
No, I wouldn't have noticed. You know. You've also done sapphire wheels, haven't you?
I have, yeah. And the reason I did that was when I put these up on the Facebook page, I was asked quite a few times, do I do sapphire wheels as well?
Can we get one as your bit up?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Right, so these are the sapphire wheels?
Same process. That's an original 15-inch sapphire wheel. It's a bit scabby, this one, but it were only to just capture the scanning geometry of it, really. And then what I do is, once it's been scanned in, and just literally increase the size of it, so I redraw it in 3D model to a 17-inch, but then, you know, making sure you've got the right profile for the tyre bead and stuff like that. And then once you get to that point, there's lots of other details that a lot of people don't realise you have to go through when you're doing a wheel. And you know, some of the differences, I'll show you the differences. When you put them through a finite element package, which is it artificially induces stress into the wheel in the 3D model to show you how strong it is. But what it's also doing is it's showing you where the weak points are, and it's important to know where they are, because you know, how many times have you seen wheels or heard wheels about cracking in certain areas and having to be repaired and all this type of stuff. So these have all been through a finite element package, but the first iteration of the model because I copied exactly things like the corner radius in between these spokes.
Down here?
That's right. So you can see how tight they are, because this was a cast wheel originally. So I copied them. They're only maybe, I don't know, 1.5 mil radius or something like that in there. So I copied that straight onto the 17-inch version. But when you put them through finite element, you found that where these spoke crossovers were, there was a very high stress concentration in that area.
So that was a weak point of the wheel?
Yeah, well, it would eventually cause you problems, because if you've got a high stress, it doesn't mean that the material is going to fail. It means that it will fail over time, and nobody really knows how long it takes for that time to happen.
Right.
So what you'll find is high stress causes hardening in certain areas over time, and then that's when your crack propagation starts, and then you'll start to see cracks appearing.
Right.
So if you can reduce that stress concentration, the longevity of the part and the integrity of the part is improved. And the way to do that is to distribute the stress better through the wheel. And the way you do that is you increase the radius size. So it doesn't become a sharp corner, it becomes more of a blended radius. So if you look on these wheels, you can see how much of a radius is in there now. That's like 3.5 mil, I think, from memory.
It looks better with a bigger radius there. I honestly don't think that you would even notice that.
Well, I think it's because of the process. You know, that was originally cast. These are forgings, and these are CNC machined, whereas those will have just come out of a casting tooling. So it's a real enhancement to give you longevity and better integrity. Now, the other reason that the stress might have been higher is because the diameter's bigger. So you've got more force acting at a bigger radius, at a bigger distance. So to go through finite element's important. There's different levels of finite element as well, and these have been through what they call SAE, which is a Society of Automotive Engineering. They've been through an SAE FEA package, and they've passed. You know, so the material's important. The process of manufacturing, and obviously the the geometry and the shape and size of the individual parts is important as well.
What have you done for the centre cap? Is that just a standard?
That's a standard centre cap. So
just an original Ford centre cap.
Yeah. So what you'll find off a SAF Cos or a 4i or something like that.
Are they still readily available?
You can find them, but anybody who's wanting these on a SAF, to put them on the SAF, you just use your original caps. The other way, you could remanufacture those if you wanted to 3D print them or something like that, but they can be done. But with 3D print parts, you've got another process, so they won't come coloured.
Right.
So you then have to paint them. So you can see how the price of parts can start to go up quite a lot.
You could just get like a generic one, couldn't you, and put like a little Ford badge on or something?
You could, yeah, you can. You can buy flat. Flat-faced ones with no Ford emblem in them if you want.
Put like a little sticker or something on.
There's quite a few, and if you search eBay, you can find them.
So that obviously just fits straight in there as well.
It does, yeah. So there's a little indent, should I say, a little cutout that references that little tine on the back.
And it's on that wheel as well.
Yeah. So it's all that detail's been copied over. So standard Ford, centre caps fit.
And is that 7-inch wide, that one as well? Isn't
this one's 7-inch, but like I say, these were originally 40 ET, so the offset was 40. Learning what I learned on the 3-door wheel, I've actually made these 37 ET, so they're actually pushed out by about 3 millimetres.
Right.
And it doesn't sound much, but it visually makes a difference. So it's kind of enhanced the look a little bit. It doesn't cause any issues on rubbing on arches or anything like that, and it still clears, especially on the fronts when you've got the steering lock to lock. There's plenty of clearance on the inside, and then obviously through full compression of the suspension and full droop on the suspension, all those checks have been done. Now what I also did was, in fact another detail that's probably worth talking about, is this crossover right at the edge here on a 15-inch wheel. You can see it's kind of all filled in, but when you look at the crossover on 17-inch,
it's got a little hole in.
It's got a hole because obviously the diameter's bigger. And those spokes are diverging apart.
Obviously all flat. If you'd done that all flat,
it'd look odd.
It'd be quite a big really flat, odd. Wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's so that's again a subtle difference, but unless somebody shows you, you don't really see.
No, I would never. That's one thing I would never ever have noticed.
But I never look at that. You know, when I started looking to design these wheels, you don't realise until you start modelling it how you're going to get around these problems, because you think, oh God, didn't realise that until you actually come to do it. So 7-inch.
Have a look in the back.
Yeah. So it's pretty much a, standard sort of like drum. I've made all of the, this cut out here as tyres possible. People who are wanting to put big brakes in and stuff like that. And then what I also did, I did a prototype of an 8-inch rim, which is what that one is. So that's carrying a fatter tyre. Exactly the same, but just 8-inch wider. So that's got a 215 on at the moment.
Tyre, 215?
40, 17. Now, the perfect tyre for this would have been a 225 17. But nobody manufactures them. Now, I originally thought, well, I'll need to put some wider rubber on the back, because lots of people were asking about them. But I was adamant I didn't want to have customers having to chop the car up to get wide wheels in. So from an offset point of view, these are actually ET50, so they're a 50mm offset. And what that means is that front face there is in exactly the same position as a standard and a 7-inch, but all the extra width's on the inside, so it's not on the outside. So the outside edge won't rub anywhere near the arches. What it does though, it tightens up around the trailing arm, the suspension trailing arm, but there's still enough clearance, and the rear shocker, but again there's still enough clearance. So the 8-inch fits on with the 215 with no problem.
Which one are you going to sell, the 8-inch or the 7?
I'm going to sell 7s, and there's a reason for that, because you can fit a 215 tyre on a 7-inch rim, no problem. The next size up that fits in 7 is a 235 tyre, and a 235 would then cause problems. Now,
with rubbing.
So
on
you
the
think,
shocker or the arches?
I think it'd be on the trailing arm. The only way you'd get around that is to put the offset back in, but then you'd probably get rubbing on the arches.
Right. So
there is a limitation to what you can physically fit tyre-wise under the rear arches, but I can't see the point when you can put a 215 on a 7-inch rim. So it'd be 7-inch rims all round, stick with a 205 on the front and just put a 215 on the back.
They look nice, them, mind out.
Yeah, well, I actually test fitted these on a SAF Cosworth yesterday, and depends when this video comes out whether they're actually being published or not. But
well, I'll put the pictures in anyway. Then.
Yeah, no problem. So they've been test fitted, and they do look really nice.
They do.
And it was on a magenta SAF as well, so it was a really nice colour. So that contrast of that nice silver and the magenta paint looked really nice, and the sun was out, so it was perfect really.
I'd love to see them on a white SAF,
white
two-wheel drive SAF with the orange indicators and
so
nice.
Although I've had a prototype in 8-inch made, I'll make a nice coffee table out of this. Trouble is, I never intended to
sell wheels, become
a wheel manufacturer. It was just that I was asked. I originally started on the 3-door, thought I want some 17-inch rims for my project. I'll make some, and then lots of people have asked whether they'd remake them for them, which I will do eventually. And then lots of people asked me for these, and I thought, well, these aren't really contradicting my project, because these are for a different model of Sierra than mine. So I thought I'd get these up and running and start marketing these. So I've just got a few more checks to do. I want to check them on a car with a big brake kit as well, just to make sure there's clearance on the inside. Not that I'm bothered, but if anybody asks me, then do they fit? I'll say they'll fit an AP setup or whatever, and then I'll probably start advertising them if people wanted them. But like I said, I don't know what the price is going to be on them yet. I've been asked several times how much they are, but it really depends on how many I make, because if the higher number that I make, the lower the price will be. But I don't know how much interest I've got, so I've been slowly gathering interest by people. So would you
take deposits on them if someone's interested? Would you take a deposit of?
Yeah, I'd have to take a deposit, because
then order them.
They are made to order.
Would you take a deposit then tell them how much?
No, I'd tell them the price. I'd fix a price for it, and then I'd take a deposit. But because they're made to order, I'd have to take a deposit. But I don't know how much yet. But you know, people have got to realise how much effort goes into designing a wheel.
I'd imagine.
And the fact that
the cost as well.
Yeah, and there's nobody else making them, so it's like, and like I say, I'm not into wheel manufacture. No. I'm doing this because I like the community. It's something to offer, but it's also, it stretches my interest in using the equipment I've got, the skills I've got to be able to do something like this. So it's of interest to me as well.
The price of the parts as well, like the cost of the tooling. Steve's just showed us a scanning tool. Can't tell them how much it was?
Yeah.
It was 50 grand just for a little handheld tool to scan these wheels.
Yeah.
So it gives you some idea of how much it must cost to make these wheels.
Yeah, and you know, I'll be open. They aren't manufactured in the UK.
No.
You know, so there's
not much is now.
The shipping costs as well, which is why the more you make, the more cost effective you can make it, because the shipping is shared over, you know, several parts. So it's not really the raw materials and the manufacturing that you save money on with bulk orders, it's the shipping.
Right.
And it's such a commodity now that actually influences the price. You have to get up-to-date prices on shipping before you can really name your price of your part, especially when you're low volume manufacturing like this.
For like an example, how much would it cost to ship 4 wheels from where they're manufactured?
4 wheels now, you're probably looking at £300 or £400.
Just in shipping?
Yeah. It's crazy.
That is expensive.
18 months to 2 years, shipping prices just gone through the roof.
Through the roof.
Yeah. But yeah, we're not far away. It's there's a lot of people showing interest, and you know,
I bet.
Yeah, it'd be nice to actually see them on customers' cars, you know.
I think we'll be seeing a few of these on Facebook soon, on Cosworth pages and.
Yeah, exactly. So like I say, we're not a million miles away.
No. Nice. So that's it, fellas. Thanks for watching, and thanks to Steve for having us down.
You're welcome.
If you want to follow along with the progress of the wheels and see when they're available, I'll leave a link to Steve's Facebook page. You can also find it RSR 500, which is the build for this car. But like I say, head over to that page and you'll follow along with the process of the wheels. But yeah, again, mate, thanks for having us down.
No, you're welcome.
Thanks for watching, fellas. I'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers.